Us on Morning Live this morning. Is it correct then to assume that there's no public audit process within the public sector?
No, not really. I think the Public Finance Management Act has set out all the necessary structures within government institutions that should assist in ensuring that there is proper management of finances. The question is, are these structures effective? As you correctly pointed out, initially, early in January, we had the Auditor General giving us the audit outcomes for the year that has passed, giving us a global picture of the state of affairs in provincial and national departments as well as parastatals. Then we had the President giving us the State of the Nation address. Today you have the Minister of Finance saying to us, well, this is how the budget is going to be divided amongst departments. But the critical question beyond today is, when these monies are allocated, how are they managed? All the things that the President and the Minister are going to announce, say this is what's going to be done. Do we have the capacity? Do we have the wherewithal to make these things happen? I think that is the question.
So at your forum for internal auditors in the public sector, what did you find? You found that there are internal auditors actually?
Well, correctly so. Internal auditors are that mechanism that should assist management to identify areas of risks that should be managed or that should be mitigated before we can have challenges in departments.
Are they there though?
Well, the law requires that they are there in the first instance. Secondly, yes, all departments and all public entities have them. The critical question is their effectiveness. I must say that there is indeed uneven development in terms of their functionality, in terms of how they function, and this gets to be reflected in the annual reports of departments or in the report of the Auditor General, because then it checks on the internal controls. And I must say that internal controls are one of the key challenges, and it is one of the key determinants of how public resources are managed.
Now, at your forum, what was then decided? How do you then address the internal controls challenge that has been identified, but also how do you enhance the work that is done by internal auditors in the public sector?
As the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, we have resolved in the first instance to ensure that whenever we have hearings with departments, at least the chairperson of the audit committee should come, so that they could also give context to the challenges that we'll be discussing, but also to share with us their frustrations, when management does not act on their recommendations. But we have also said that the status, the standing and the positioning of internal audit does need to be raised within departments, so that it is not seen like it is an irritant, but it must be seen as that critical, cog in the running of the department and in the management of public funds. And we as Scopa have also said we need to look at how can it be possible that the reports of internal audit or the audit committees are escalated beyond management to the political leadership, so that at the end of the year the minister shouldn't say, well, I did not know what was happening. But also whether we as parliament can also access the reports of the audit committee, so that we're able to see what are the issues that are being raised with management, so that come end of the year we can be able to rightly say, management, these issues were raised with you before, why did you not act on them?
So to be able to drill down into what actually is happening in the department. So when the presentation was done by Rural Development and it emerged that the department doesn't actually know how much land is owned by government, was that a reflection of the failure of these controls as well?
No, indeed. If you look at the internal controls within that department, they are not good. And the chairperson of the audit committee of that department gave a very eloquent, presentation of the challenges that are there, and his quest to escalate that, with the minister. Last week, we had an interaction with COGTA as well as Public Works. And in both these instances, you find that internal controls are a very, very serious weakness. And where you have serious internal control weaknesses, you are going to see all sorts of things, from irregular expenditure, unauthorized expenditure, fruitless and wasteful expenditure.
Just finally, what's your expectation of the budget?
Well, Vuyo, I think that as a country, we we do have very stable and predictable, systems of budgeting. Your medium-term framework gives you a sense of what you are going to get in the next 3 years. And I think in October, the minister did give a hint in terms of the direction. I think what is critical is what are the ways that are going to accompany the rands and cents in terms of how we manage the funds, how we fight against corruption, how we focus more on investment and infrastructure as opposed to personnel and goods and services.
All right, thank you very much. Themba Godi is chairperson of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, joining us this morning talking about